Hey guys, um, it is the 24th day of my 28-day Radical Heart Challenge. I'm tuning in from Rio de Janeiro. I actually made a first video. This is the second one. The first video, for some reason, um, was put on slow motion. I don't know how it got to slow motion, so it was funny. The whole thing turned to be an hour and 20 minutes, and it was like me talking like this. So I don't know what that was. Funny though. So here I'm back. I think there was a reason why. My name is Kata. I started the 28-day Radical Heart Challenge. I'm again in Rio de Janeiro. It is about 11 o'clock here. And the days are long, so I'm trying to do this before I go to bed. It's been a long day. An incident came up with one of our waiters today. I think there's a lot of things I could talk about Brazil, and I'm experiencing a lot of the colorism stuff that happens here as a result of its own history of colonization and imperialism, and just how there's a legacy of a pecking order around color, blackness, and also I think Black Americans are different than so I'll say Afro-Americans are different than Afro-Brazilians. And the culture and the legacy that comes with that, right? Like some of the stereotypes and things. More importantly, we know that when we're dealing with things about colorism, it's an internalized oppression. And you're always being measured from the standard of deviance of white as being the right, and whatever that comes in that. So colorism acts that there's these varying degrees of tolerance, privilege, these types of things that happen, and it can change with skin color. Now, talking in a high vibrational level, where I'm trying to practice this 28-day Radical Heart Challenge, and particularly, I was noticing all those things, and yet I did not want to respond from a place of responding from that, which actually feeds that. And I think it shows that you have to model things differently. But there was an incident. I am tired. And we had a waiter that was scolding us, not once, not twice, not three, but 4 times, around our behavior as a group or something. I don't remember what it was. It was really ridiculous. But yeah, I think there was other dynamics with the staff around. I don't know. I'm not going to even try to figure it out. But I found myself becoming irritated more increasingly, and I left the table at one point, tried to come back. And then at one point, I realized I wanted to be right. And being right meant you're acting like a fool. I need to check you. And I did do it, but I didn't do it loud or obnoxious. Oh, actually, that's not true. Because the person was getting louder and kept coming to the table, there was sort of kind of a presence. Well, it was noticeable. And so at one point I just was like, stop. Like, just stop. 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 And, again, my command of language, so when I do not speak Portuguese, I speak Spanish somewhat. And even with that, there wasn't a way for me to say what I wanted to say without giving a command, which was silencio, or calmate, or cállate. And I said it with a diction, right? Like, and so I can imagine on being the receiving end of that, like how that would feel. And that's not a place I want to put a person necessarily, right? And we're all human. And so I recognize that. So tomorrow I'm going to try better. Despite these dynamics, this is where it really gets tricky. Despite all these dynamics, the internalized racism, the microaggressions, these things. It's kind of like when I was in Haiti and Dominican Republic, same people, different parts of the islands, But the lighter skinned people, the Dominican side, felt they had more privilege from the Haitian side. And there's a whole other big backstory history that, again, I'm not going to get into because not for the purpose of that. But it's just funny how same race of people, one island was colonized by French, the other side was colonized by Spain, and all this stuff. But even with the two countries, they're fighting, right? And then they have the people that are enslaved, and it's just a mess. And what that legacy plays out, no more different than we had here in America, the internalized racial oppression when we were doing things like the paper bag test. And it's important to remember this history, that we did this, and even in black colored communities where there were certain parties, and if you're, so let's say this hanger is a paper bag. Actually, I think it's a little bit dark. But anyway, the idea was that they took the bag and they measured against your skin. And if your skin was dark, in this case, my skin would be darker than this, I wouldn't get into the party or the event or the gathering, whatever it was, the social plane. So, these are the legacies of how internalized imperialism, colonization, racism play out in the dynamics of people. All to say that I saw myself in the ICU, how I was acting with this person, and now looking back, I can say I'm right and blah, blah, blah. It's not the way that I wanted to behave. So tomorrow I'm going to try again. And also recognizing I know I was tired, I get it, and still I have to be accountable to my own behavior with me. Yeah, it's not really about being right. Yeah, it's not. And so that's the practice. That's what I'm showing up. Maybe today, I think today I give myself a B minus. And that's okay, because tomorrow I could try again. What's more important is that I put myself in this ICU for a reason, and that is the intensity of me watching me being watched. And I'm holding myself accountable to a certain standard of practice and how I want to be with myself and people around. And I really want to just be able to model that. Some days I'll get it right. Some days I'll fall short. Fall short, sin, fall short. And this is my practice. So I want to take a little something around. I know right now what I'm doing probably feels like, I don't know, meaning that, I just heard from the States. I'm not following any news. I'm in Rio de Janeiro. I'm doing my art. There's a lot of great artists I'm living and working with, and can't wait to get home back to the studio. The point is, I know people are watching the news. Some of the news is coming here around thinking about Americans who might be going to war, these things, and I don't have any control over that. Why am I bringing this up? Meaning that the juxtaposition of what I'm doing in the relationship to the world seems like, wow, she must be out there. But that's why it's radical. That's why it's a radical 28-day heart challenge. It is radical, right? In the context of where we are. But is it? Is it? I don't know. And this is my way of dealing. It may not be yours. It's my way of dealing with and anchoring myself in a world that seems to be going to hell in a handbasket. So it's my way of checking in. It's my way of it's my subtle activism. And it's radical because it doesn't fit, right? I'm getting a message from my phone that my battery is dying, so I'm gonna make this quick. But it's my way of my subtle act of activism in the stage where I am in my life, the energy that I have in my life. And we all have different roles of how we pay attention, stay vigilant, active. And I say that because not everybody can be protesting out in the streets or some of these other things, but there are all these ways as space holders that we can be those space holders. You know what, again, I always think about when the revolution is happening, you need the people in the kitchen making the hot soup and bread for people to come in and eat. And to wipe people's brows off, to love and care for the ones who are out there. So there's all different points, I guess I'm saying, of activism. And we each got to find our way of that piece. And one of them for me is being that radical, sacred rebel space holder. It's a term that I use when I'm doing my somatic liberation movement and dance, which now becomes a sacred rebel space holder. You know, when I hold these dances every week, and I've cultivated other space holders, we're really holding this space with music, creating these playlists so that when people come in, they can unplug from the world and have a place to tune in with themselves and their own nervous system. And to me, that's activism. And it's radical. So that's why I'm doing these challenges. This is what works for me. It's not a judgment about what anybody else is doing or not doing. And I guess maybe I'm modeling that there's more than one way to stay active and vigilant. And we all have a part. You have to find yours. This is mine. And I have to remember the power of prayer through all this. You know, it's getting real out there. It's been real. It's been real since this has been coming. If you've been following the trends, starting from the 80s up to now, this is where we are now. And I say that, and I'm going to get a little political right now. You know, when people want to blame Hitler, for example, and by the way, there is a great new series on Netflix, Hitler and the Nazis. Just a really great, well done documentary. The point is, I'll get back to the point. Hitler was a byproduct of a whole series of stuff. And the rise came from a disgruntled and unfair, I would say, position that, well, I'm getting kind of political here, Germany found themselves into after World War I. I'm not making excuses saying but I can see how Germany got to where it got. And I think I'm saying that for us in our own lives, in this country, around the world. We have to pay attention to the things that get us to the places where we can find ourselves turning into ugly monsters or behaviors or radical or irrational behaviors when we're so dysregulated, disgruntled, hungry, tired, all those things. But you have to remember there's bigger narratives and propagandas that feed that. And so me in this act of subtle activism is staying quiet and present to my own nervous system so that, well, we know why. But that's what I have to do, which is radical. And that's all I can do, really. And then hopefully that creates other types of awareness for people to think about or practice how to be accountable through one's own behaviors in response to the elements that are around us, knocking us off center. I'm a little tired, so I'm not sure if I'm making much sense right now, and I want to keep it short. This 28-day Radical Heart Challenge, day 24. My name is Keita, signing in from Rio de Janeiro. And no, I'm learning Portuguese, but I'm not very good right now. So, obrigada, meaning I'm thankful for your, I'm talking to me right now. I'm thankful for you, Keita, for showing up and taking the challenge to put yourself in the ICU so you can see yourself, witnessing yourself, like I'm checking myself in for that radical care and examination. I'm thankful for this practice and this challenge. I'm hopeful that when I'm finished the challenge that I will still move from that heart-centered coherence, right? So remember the physical pieces around how we align that. Just want to recap is, for example, when I'm sitting, when I inhale my shoulders up to my ears and rotate them back down, click, 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 all of a sudden my sternum opens up. And then if I tuck my pelvic bone underneath my sternum, now I've got my heart lined up over the kidney, love over fear. I can breathe better. There's a certain alignment of the antennae from the crown up down into the earth. And that's really the practice that I'm asking myself to do when I'm moving throughout the day, especially when I'm feeling friction, tension, some type of constriction, whatever it may be, that I can remember to keep this alignment so that I can bring my best self forward. So that best self forward may mean somebody needs to be checked. But there's a way in which I can do it that's lovingly when I'm in alignment with myself. So it's not passive aggressive. It's not saying no to boundaries. It's not saying stop or these type of things. Though those things are very important. But how you say it, how you practice it, that's much more important. And also checking myself around the need to be right. And there's another difference. When I'm in alignment, it's not so much the need to be right, but also recognizing when someone's not able to hear you. And sometimes the quiet is actually stronger than trying to get them to hear you. And if, just say two people could practice that alignment and owning their stuff and coming from that heart-centered state and really staying and paying attention, conversations with each other would be really different. That's radical heart challenge love. That's it. So, Keita, thank you for showing up tonight. We say buenas noches. I can't say good night. The Portuguese is hard for me around the tongue. Raw sound. I think I have to get over my mouth and tongue stuff. And allow my mouth to go through those sounds. I'm getting there. So I think this is where I need to end. Ashaya Menaho, 24 days, 3 more to go. I'm in the flow, I'm loving it, and I'm glad that I showed up. Keita, you, my girl, You're doing it. I love the practice. And that's what keeping it real means for me. That's my takeaway too. 3 more days, y'all.